Oh my god, it's Krayshawn. And we style like Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother.
Hai guys, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my YouTube channel with me Cicio, Melani, Anggi, Triyana, Putri. So in this video, I will be accompanied by my friend Agustin Nurkhasanah. Previously, we have learned about phrases in English. This time, we are going to learn about clauses in English. This video was made to fulfill the assignment of the English syntax subject by Miss Lilik Istiqomah. So, now, let's just move on to the video material.
Okay, today we are going to learn about clauses in English. What is clause? Clauses are units of grammar that contain at least one predicate or verb and a subject. This makes a clause different than phrase because a phrase doesn't contain a verb and a subject. What are the main types of clauses in English grammar? That is, independent and dependent clauses. So, what is independent clauses? An independent clause can stand as a sentence by itself or it can be combined with other clauses. These clauses will always contain a subject and a predicate. They can join with a dependent clause or other independent clause to make a complex sentence. Example: I love opening the windows while the warm breeze blows. Since we enjoy this book, we'll be sure to pay it forward. In the red word is independent clause because can stand as a sentence by itself or it can be combined with other clauses. And the next material is dependent clause. What is dependent clause? By itself, a dependent clause can be considered as a sentence. Standing alone, it will be considered a sentence fragment or an incomplete sentence. It needs to be with an independent clause to form a complete thought. Example: if that's a burrito, I'm having it. This means mainly because he's unhappy. Let's go for a walk while the sun's still out. In the red word is dependent clause because can be considered a sentence and need to be with an independent clause to form a complete thought. Dependent clause. More specifically, dependent clause take three forms. Number 1 is adverb clause, number 2 adjective clause, number 3 noun clause. Number 1 is adverb clause. Adverb clause, also known as adverbial clauses, are dependent clauses that function as adverbs. Adverb clauses can be used to add explanatory detail to your writing and explain how or why things happen. Since they are dependent clauses, they must have a subordinating conjunction to connect them to the rest of the sentence. Adverb connector: time, after, before, as long as soon as, by the time, once, since, and etc. Cause: as, because, now that, since, inasmuch as. Condition: if, in case, provided, providing, unless, whether. Contrast: although, even though, while, whereas. And you can read on the PPT. Adverb clauses can be placed at the beginning or end of a sentence. When placed at the beginning, they require a comma to offset them from the rest of the sentence. However, when the adverb clause is at the end of sentence, no comma is needed. The structure is subject verb connector subject verb and connector subject verb comma subject verb. The example of one structure is or subject verb connector subject verb. Johnny went inside because it was raining. This example, no comma, because the adverb clause is at the end of sentence. And the example of number 2 is whether you like it or not, you have to go. When the adverb clause in the beginning of the sentence, so we need comma. Example, adverb clause of place. These adverbial clauses answer the question where. Wherever there is music, people will dance. You can drop by for a visit where we are staying for the summer. So this example, adverb clauses is answer question where. Example, adverb clause of time. So in the example, also answer the question when or answer time. Example number 1 is after the chorus are done, we will eat some ice cream. When the clock strikes midnight, she has to leave. And the next example is adverb clauses of cause. So this example also answer the question why. She passed the course because she worked hard. And the next example, since he has long hair, he wears a ponytail. And the next example is adverb clauses of purpose. These adverb clauses also answer the question why. So that he would not ruin the carpet, he took off his shoes. He ate vegetable in order that he could stay healthy. Next example is adverb clauses of condition. This is answer question how. If you save some money, you can buy a new game. Unless you hurry, you will be late for school. The next example is adverb clauses of concession. These adverb clauses answer the question how, albeit in a roundabout way. Even though you are 13, you can go to that movie. Although you gave it your best effort, you did not win the match.
The next material I will explain about adjective clause. An adjective clause, also known as a relative clause, is a type of dependent clause that works to describe a noun in a sentence. It functions as an adjective even though it is made up of a group of words instead of just one word. For the adjective connectors, you can use who for people, which for things, and that for people or things. There are two structures of adjective clause. The first one is subject, verb, connector, subject, verb. The second one is subject, connector, subject, verb, and verb. So let's break down the sentence structure in the example below. I like the book which you recommended. I is subject, like is verb, the book is object, which is the connector, you is the subject, and then recommended is the verb. So here, the adjective clause is which you recommended. And then the second example. The book which you recommended was interesting. The book is the subject, which is a connector. You is the subject. Recommended is a verb. Was interesting is a verb. So in this sentence, the adjective clause is which you recommended. The adjective connectors can be omitted. This omission is very common in spoken English or in casual written English. It is not as common in formal English or in structured questions on the TOEFL test. Some cases, an adjective clause connector is not just a connector. It can also be the subject of the clause at the same time. The structures are same like the two structures before, but there's no subject after the connector because the connector is the subject. For example, she needs a secretary who types fast. She is the subject. Needs is the verb. A secretary is the object. Who is the connector and the subject. Types is the verb. Fast is the object. So, here, the adjective clause is who types fast. Then in the second example, a secretary who types fast is invaluable. A secretary is the subject, who is the connector also the subject, types is the verb, fast is the object, is the verb, invaluable is the object. So here, the adjective clause is who types fast. Then we can also use the other connectors like who for subject, whom for object, and whose for possessive. Let's see, there are three simple sentences. The first one is that girl buys a book. The second one, Naki loves her. And then number 3, her phone was stolen. So how if we want to change the word her in the second sentence to be that girl in the first sentence? We can change them with the connector who to be the subject. It can be Naki loves the girl who buys a book. The second one is as object. We can combine the first sentence and the second sentence, and then the second sentence as the object. That girl and her have the same position. So we can add an additional information about who is that girl. That girl is whom Naki loves. So it can be the girl whom Naki loves buy a book. We can also change the word her in the second sentence to be a possessive. So combined with the third sentence, her here have the same position. So it can be Naki loves the girl whose phone was stolen. The last one is noun clause. Noun clause is a group of words acting together as a noun. These clauses are always dependent clauses. That is, they do not form a complete sentence. A noun clause can be the subject of the sentence, an object of verb, and an object of preposition. As the subject of a sentence, the noun clause itself performs the action in the sentence. For example, what Alicia said made her friends cry. Here, what Alicia said is a noun clause that acts like the subject of the sentence. As the object of verb, they follow verbs to inform the reader where the action is going. For example, the pharmacist checked that the prescription was correct. Here, that the prescription was correct is the noun clause. Noun clauses also act as objects of a preposition in prepositional phrases. In the examples below, you will see the prepositions of and for in action. For example, Harry is not the best provider of what Markin needs. Of is the preposition. What Markin needs is a noun clause. You can use these connectors like what, when, where, why, how, whatever, whenever, who, whoever,
whether, if, which, whichever, and that. There are two structures of noun clause. The first one is subject, verb, connector, subject, and verb. These act as the object of verb, or maybe object of preposition. For example, this is the simple example. I know what you did. I is the subject, know is the verb, what is the connector, you is the subject, did is the verb. So here, what you did is the noun clause. The second structure is connector, subject, verb, and verb. These act as the subject. For example, what you did was wrong. What is the connector? You is the subject, did is the verb, was is the verb. So what you did is the noun clause who act as the subject. A noun clause connector can also be the subject of the clause. There are two structures which after the connector there's no subject but the connector acts like the subject. For example, subject, verb, connector, verb. I know what happened. I is the subject, know is the verb, what is the connector and the subject, happen is the verb. So what happened is the noun clause. The second one, connector or the subject, verb and verb. What happened was great. What is the connector? Happen is the verb, was is the verb. So what happened is the noun clause.
So that's all the video material from us. We sincerely apologize if there's a lot of mispronunciation and writing errors. Hope you guys can understand what we have explained about. Don't forget to like, share, and comment this video. And if you have any question, you can type in the comment section below. And subscribe for more videos. And thank you so much for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.